Welcome to the Angelscapes podcast, where you're encouraged to uncover and develop a direct connection with your soul's power, wisdom, and spiritual intuition that is ready to blossom. We'll explore new ideas, compelling tips, and real steps to help you learn simple spiritual practices. We're a safe place to learn more about accessing your soul's power with education and spiritual wholeness that could bring more clarity to your life. Now here's your host, a practicing medium, Akashic Records practitioner, spirit artist, coach, and mentor, Dr. Reverend Nancy Smith.
Are you overwhelmed with the drama around you? And what are the ways that you can handle this, sort through all this confusion? Hello, this is Angelscapes, and I'm your host, Nancy Smith. And this episode, we're going to talk about living well with intuition and what are the ways that you can connect with your intuition. We're going to go through that and explore ways to use your intuition to wade through this information age, the disinformation or the overwhelmed or the incomplete information. And how can you use your intuition to reveal truth of what's right for you and what's really going on? So I'm so glad to be talking about this. I was kind of inspired by a couple of things to go back to talking about intuition today, that inner knowing, that inner thought process that happens while you're thinking about stuff. Disinformation is happening all the time around us. I think it's the nature of media, the nature of the news, the nature of just how ideas are sold to us, or thoughts are conveyed to us to try to get us on the side or in their closet or in their back, in the back seat of believing people. And sometimes things are left off, or just something is a little bit tweaked that's not quite in alignment to what you're thinking. So how can you know that? How can you kind of sort that information out if you're feeling a little bit of tweaked? If you're feeling like, I'm not sure there's enough information here for me to buy that car or to sign up for this class or anything like that, or any kind of decision-making process, if you feel that you don't have enough information, or if you feel a little tweaked, or if you kind of have a sense of something, that's your intuition talking to you, saying, we don't have enough, or I don't think so. And there are so many ways that intuition can pop up for you, and ways that you can apply intuition as you're making a decision, as you're getting to know somebody, as you're listening to a presidential campaign, or as you're listening to somebody trying to sell you a concept or an idea. So our intuition shows up in a lot of different ways. It can show up with the mental thought process. It can show up with a feeling or a sensation. It can show up in your body. And it can also show up in how you picture things or how you think you're hearing something. And then there can also show up in smelling and tasting. Does this smell good? What does this smell like? What does this information taste like? What does this person like? Don't get me wrong. What does this person smell like to me? They probably smell just fine. But in your intuition, if you're saying, hey, I'm kind of smelling a skunk, I would trust that what you've got here is maybe not the best thing for you. So looking and assessing people, places, situations is very important to living well with our intuition. I'm not talking about prejudice or prejudging things. And I also want to say that one of the hardest and most difficult challenges in using our intuition is that we have a huge belief structure in our lives that sometimes lead us and make us just, kind of lead us to decisions or make us go in a certain direction because of past experiences, or because of what so many other people have told us. And using your intuition isn't about what other people think. It's not about your belief structure. It's not about the past. It's about being in the present moment, right here and now, and really having a sense of what is here, right here and now. Intuition is not your fear. Facts appearing, but what is that fear? It's called face your fear, or false evidence appearing real. I got it. I knew eventually I'd get it. False evidence appearing real. Fear can speak to us very loudly, and really from an old belief system, or for just being plain old chicken, or something that is real, something that's we're really being asked. Our intuition is telling us, wait, hold a minute, don't walk in front of that train, or don't go there. I have had many experiences where fear got a hold of me, where I was going to just barrel into something. And when listen to the fear, step back and say, okay, fear, what are you telling me? My intuition would say, I want you to take a look at this. I want you to take a look at this. And I want you to get more information on that. And I have had very accurate fear barometers that have happened in my life. On the other hand, I have often missed opportunities because I was too afraid to move forward, or I was hesitating too much. And that was not my intuition. That was my inner, you know, my inner fear person, my inner chicken talking to me. So I want to tell you a story. Today, something synchronistic happened. One time, we were looking for signs, and synchronicities is for guidance, for spiritual guidance. Sometimes these signs and synchronicities can be confusing. So I'm going to tell you a story. Early this morning, a friend of mine who I trust called, and I had a dream last night, and the dream was very accurate. We're going to go a little bit into how to tell if a dream is futuristic, or if it's talking about you, about yourself, or what it could possibly mean. So this person is traveling in April, and is going to be in Europe. And he was with his friends in his dream, in already overseas in Europe. And his guide said, there's going to be an explosion. There's going to be a bomb, and this could be something that's going to change your life. It's a very calm, caring voice. And he realized that this was going to be a very big bomb. And he said, decided to be okay with it. I decided this is what's going to happen. And she says, I knew in past lives I hadn't lived that long, and that this lifetime, maybe I wouldn't live as long as I had wanted to. And he said, and I'm ready for it. And then as he prepared himself in this dream, this wave of heat came over him and his friends, and that was it. They were gone. And atomic weapons, I think, is what he was referring to. And we talked about the dream. We talked about, in dreams, sometimes what you're seeing is about you. So maybe there's something in his trip that will change his life in an atomic way, just blow up pieces, and he'll need to put them back together lately. Or there could be a tremendous amount of information, that an influence that would just change how he looked at life, or could be in any number of things that he was seeing intuitively in his dream. Didn't necessarily have to be literally a bomb going off. But then later on during the day, I told him I would work with this intuition information. I gave him some suggestions on how he could work with the intuitive information, so he could get a more clear picture of what he was perceiving in his dream. And then the synchronicities started happening for me as I got the news was running in the background, and there was a news article about Putin being just frustrated with how long this war has been going on, and he was going to reach into his arsenal and possibly use one of the bombs in there. And then there was some other political talk about how there's disenfranchises going on between these different countries that are at war, and that many people were getting frustrated at being with war, or the positions different. It was a political, the president was saying, I don't want to support Israel anymore. And Israel said, I'm not going to listen to you. And many power struggles were going on, as the news reported. So I thought, well, gee, here's this synchronicity along with my friend having this dream. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because some of the decisions that could be made on this political level could impact all of our lives and change all of our lives, and how we are going to go forward in the future days. It certainly has impacted all of the people who are in the war zones. Their lives will never be the same, and my heart goes out to them. So is this intuition? Is this a sense of seeing what's going on and connecting the dots? Is this an unexpressed fear coming up through the unconscious mind to express itself? Or is it actually hey, heads up, something could happen. So we've been playing with this all all day today before this podcast, but I also have been kind of struggling with this idea for the past couple of weeks in terms of when do you trust your intuition? When is your intuition talking to you about something that's personal? When is your intuition talking to you about something that's in your community, your family, and your friends, and the mailman, and all the people around you, or globally? When is the sense, what you're feeling and sensing affecting you globally? A lot of global things are changing and affecting us. The weather's affecting us. The concern about food shortages is affecting us. The concern, you name it, you could probably your big concern that affect people that could happen on a global level are affecting people personally. So intuition is going to be up, really, really up for us to use. And fear is going to be really, really up for us to try to weigh in. And denial, and I'm just not going to listen anymore, is really up as well. So I thought, well, this is a good time then to talk about how to listen to your higher self, how to listen to your body, how to listen to your intuition, and help you to sort it out so that you could begin to use your superpowers to balance your life while you're watching super oh no's happening out in the world. So your body is like a barometer. And as you listen to your own body's voice can sometimes clue you into intuition, or it actually is a barometer for intuition. And if you are listening to somebody talk, or you're listening to something on the news and you're getting a stomachache or you're getting anxious about it, time to check in. Is this an emotional reaction, or am I feeling something that is futuristic, or I'm seeing a pathway? The other thing with intuition is, now that I said seeing a pathway, um, it could have been that my friend was seeing a potential pathway in his dream, a pathway that doesn't necessarily have to happen, but because he's seeing it and he's sharing what he saw, we have an opportunity now to change the thought, to change the progression of this thought and of this futuristic pathway. Every given moment in my mind has 3 or 4 different ways you could go, and 3 or 4 different outcomes of what could happen. And I feel like each outcome, each pathway exists somewhere in space and time. And which is the one that you want to um, you want to move on? What's the pathway that you want to choose? If you want to choose the pathway of peace and um, the wars and the conflicts being calmed and settled, you can choose that pathway through what you think about, through what you do, through what you get excited over the news, through prayer, through many things, through finding peace within yourself. All of that impacts the pathway that the group or the continuum or the humanity will choose to go on. Believe it or not, you do. Your thoughts, your prayers, your attitude all have an impact on the world at large. What are you going to do with that impact? But if you don't know what the different pathways are, sometimes you can't impact or affect the change. My friend is a tremendous healer. So now that he knows of a pathway that could possibly happen, he can apply himself with his healing skills towards changing the trajectory, as it will. And that's another very powerful tool that we have as humans and we can use. And that's why I'm talking about this, because our intuition sometimes can tell us, don't go there with that thought, or change that thought, or apply your abilities to something that is bigger than you, something that you don't want. So information and intuition. I listened to the news today and I had to walk away from it because there were a lot of innuendos happening that I felt that's not where I want to go. That's not what I want to buy into. And I felt also, if I let this fear impact me, I'm polluted. My intuition is polluted. I'm no longer able to walk the pathway of a clear, intuitive person. which isn't quite exactly true, but I just didn't want to be influenced that way. I wanted to have a more neutral look so that I could apply myself to peace and well-being and hope. On the other hand, I'm like everybody else. I want a cheat code. I want a cheat sheet that says, here's what's going to happen. So get ready for it. So how are you going to work with that? Both sides of the road. How are you going to prepare yourself for a possibility of this disaster happening or the possibility of no disaster happening and you're fine? Um, you can feel it in your body. You can feel, what is it that I need to prepare for right now? What is it that I feel that I want to do? When I set up my day, for my working day, what I want to do, I use my intuition and I'll set up, here's my list. I'll make it the day before or 2 days before. I have a whole week's worth of list and will sit with that list before I even come to my desk, and I will intuitively I'll ask my guides, and I'll ask my, higher self, my soul and my intuition, what is the best thing for me to work on today? What's going to get me the biggest return on my investment or bang for my buck? Or what's going to stress is about things not done, and what is going to stress me out the most to skip it, and what's going to make me feel the best to not skip it. So I'm working with my emotional self too. And inevitably, I will have a sense of what it is the first thing that I need to attend to. What's the first thing that I need to do? And sometimes the list doesn't even show up. I'm not even going to do any of the tasks on my list. And sure enough, something important will come up that will waylay me and I'll have to do something else. And I actually know that's coming because my list gets really fuzzy and I can't quite think of what I'm going to do. And I can't quite make it clear in my head. And when I get fuzzy like that, it's another time to step back and say, okay, my body and my mind are fuzzy, so something else is going on. What's happening here? What's the intuitive hit here? And sometimes it takes a minute or two or longer, but if you're in the practice of listening to your intuition and building your intuition, you will get to it faster. But you got to stop your mind, stop your thinking, stop your feelings, take a deep breath and say, what's the intuition telling me? Synchronicities and signs may not be telling you what they think they're telling you. For instance, the dream about the A bomb, and then they're talking about the bomb on the news doesn't necessarily mean that synchronicity is actually going to happen. For instance, because I was feeling like not quite right, but there is potential information in there that I want to work with. So I chose to work with it. And one of the ways of working with it is talking to you about your intuition on a podcast. One way that I work with intuition is I make a chart. And I will kind of go, what is my intuition? What are the pieces of the intuition that I'm getting right now? And where are these pieces fitting in? For instance, color. Color can, for me, I have an inner barometer in my body that goes from green to that's great. Sometimes I have pink that, oh, this life is wonderful, to yellow that, okay, we're not quite in the right spot here. It's getting a little hot, to orange. So, all right, this is really something to pay attention to. Red, stop and listen to the intuition. So I will sometimes check into, I have an intuitive hit, but I don't quite have the full information. I like, what color is this? What color is the intuition right now? Is it green? Like, oh, you had a hiccup, or this is going to be fun, or it gets to orange and I say, okay, this is something I really have to sit down and meditate on, pull some cards, or work through my feelings. Oftentimes my intuition is telling me to work through my feelings, because fear can actually pretend like it's intuition and tell me all kinds of things that aren't exactly accurate or true. But my emotions are going all over the place and they're giving me a message. So to get to my intuition, I need to sit down with my emotions and say, what is this emotion telling me right now about this topic or this issue? And once I get right in with what my fear is telling me, then I'll take the information that my fear is telling me and I'll move it to my intuition. I say, what are we going to do about this? How deep do we have to go into this situation, and what pathway, and where's the rabbit hole so I don't fall down, that kind of thing. Your intuition can simply tell you you're at the edge of a rabbit hole, don't go there. And that's a really helpful piece of information, don't you think? Um, so colors, what color is this? What color is the emotion? And what color is the intuition? And sometimes they match and sometimes they don't match. If the emotion is red, but intuitively the color is green, then I know I'm reacting to something, but everything's okay. I love using color. And maybe some of you love to use the color, or color will be really helpful for you to get information. We often, from our intuition, we want information that's specific, like an engraved invitation that says, here's the time, here's the date, here's the place, here's what's going to happen. And that doesn't happen that way. So sometimes we need to work with things like colors, textures, feelings, tastes, to get a handle on the parameters of what the information is that we're getting. Again, when I said, what does it smell like? What does it taste like? How big is it? You're getting a big feeling of something. Is it like as big as a bread box, or is it like the Eiffel Tower, or is it even bigger than that, like a submarine? How big is this intuitive hit? I remember having intuitive hits starting in the year 2001. I was getting hits in late 2000, 2001, and they kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger until finally, the August, it was so big that I couldn't. I was seeing a movie every 10 minutes. I would see the same movie over and over again, and I had no one to talk to about it. I really, it's really sometimes it's nice to have an intuitive buddy that you can talk to. I'm getting this hit, and the actual hit came true, and I learned a lot about my own intuition when that hit came true, and it was just as huge and just as powerful as I was feeling that it was, and the feeling of helplessness was actually part of the whole scenario. A few summers ago, I took a week off just to paint big wet watercolors. I was thrilled to be able to finally do the work, and I was painting. I was just painting intuitively, just lay watercolors and just laying it down on a big sheets of paper. And I kept painting this thing, and all of a sudden it was just looking like a mountain. And then all of a sudden, no, it's looking like a volcano. And all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed. Then I painted a man, kind of angry in front of the volcano, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I called a friend of mine who said, "Well, that's really interesting. You're having," and I said, "I just am not a good artist. I'm just not a good painter. I'm just going to throw this whole thing out." And then I woke up in the middle of the night feeling just horrible about the whole thing. And I'm like, why am I so wrapped up into the horror of this? Why am I so upset about my ability to communicate or not communicate through my paintings? Well, a few hours later, I woke up again in the middle of the night, and I just was kind of, all right, that's it. I turned on my smartphone and I started looking through the news and looking through stuff. And there it was. Hawaii had a volcano eruption right at the time, that I woke up in the middle of the night, kind of upset with the whole thing. And there was this picture of this man that was identical to the man that I had painted on the painting. Um, his house had been totally engulfed with this lava, and he was so upset because he had built his house in a place where he thought there was going to be no lava flows. It was going to be safe and it was beautiful. And there it was. His house was totally taken out. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, my intuition was really working overtime with me. And not only was I picking up the images, but I was picking up the emotions with it. So I have to say that sometimes our emotions can be part of the message, and sometimes the emotions are not the message at all. So it's the underlying intuition. If I could have got to that calm place, maybe that would have been good, but I was so wrapped up into the empathic experience of the whole thing. So get to that calm place and start to sort out, what is my emotions and what is the emotions that are coming from the intuitive hit, or coming from the event that I am viewing or I am feeling. So that's another little clue, using your body as a barometer, using yourself as a place of bringing through information, like a medium, bringing through information, and how to recognize what is the information flowing through you and what is yours. So that covers emotions are not intuition, but sometimes they hold messages, or sometimes they can be expressing the intuition. I can find myself having a reaction to something or being particularly crabby, not knowing why. And then I have to sit down and say, okay, what am I sensing? What is my body sensing that's around me or coming towards me that I don't like, that I'm in resistance to? It's always a good question. And then I go back into um, the colors and the abstract to kind of sort it out. And so again, make a chart. And you can make a chart to say, maybe a circle, a bullseye chart, where in the middle it's personal, and as you go further and further out, it's less personal, more in the community or more global. And sometimes you could take that bullseye chart and you can just intuitively feel, where is this information coming from? How close is it to me? How far away is it to me? And then once I figure that out, if it's really close to me, then I say, okay, if it's close to me, what are the best actions for me to take? Change the oil in your car, kind of thing, or check the tires, or whatever comes up for you. And then if it's far, far away, why am I feeling this? Well, what can I use in my abilities to send healing, or my abilities to be calm and send calm and peace to a situation? Maybe that's what you're being called to do, to be an earth angel, to be an influencer, an energetic influencer. And that's another way to use your intuition. Um, have the courage to see things differently. Have the courage not to fall into the same old of, okay, this is how it is. If this is this and this is this and this is how it is, and I'm just going to make this statement and we're all set now. I know how to do it. Have the courage to be patient, to have information flow through you, and allow your soul, allow your spirit guides, allow your intuition to gently put it where it needs to go. Um, and so that takes time, that takes patience, and that takes observing yourself. Um, and as you observe yourself, again, ask your guides to help you discern what is happening and where this intuitive hit is going to go, and where your emotions fit into all of it. Um, I like to observe people's auras. And that is also another intuitive, kind of clairvoyant. Sometimes it's clairsentient sense of, and that's another way of using intuition. And I can observe people's auras, or a place's aura. I can observe an animal's aura. And sometimes I can observe the energy and the aura of a decision or a relationship. And as I observe those auras, what color are they? What texture are they? How do I feel when I'm around them? What do they smell like? What do they taste like? And as I observe a person, and I use all of those feelings, all of those sentience, clairs, I can often pull in information about a person, place, or thing, or event that will kind of influence me or give me the information I need on the decision that I'm going to make. How much am I going to get involved with this person? And am I going to buy this car with them, or am I going to go to this concert? Or I have gone into years ago. I remember going into a place where their concert was going to be happening in kind of a very small venue in a small bar, and I walked in and I got physically nauseous. I just went, I can't be in here. This is not a safe place to be. Now, I can't tell you, I didn't go, so I can't tell you if something happened. Maybe something would have just happened to me, or something like that. Um, or maybe something was actually going to happen in the venue. I didn't get the information, but I knew that I needed to follow that hit. And it wasn't a personal hit. It wasn't like, oh, this place is painted an ugly color kind of hit, or the music's really bad kind of hit. It was seriously, you're not going to be safe if you show up to this venue at this later this evening. So I followed it through. And there's other times when I felt like I was taking a risk, but I knew it was okay. And I really wasn't taking a risk, and everything, in fact, was okay in the decision that I made. Um, and again, looking at the color of it, the aura field of it, the energies of it, sometimes you could feel static electricity around, just like static electricity, like, oh my gosh, this is exciting. Or, oh my gosh, this is not good. Another thing you can do when you're looking for an intuitive hit is to track it. Is to track it through space and time. You want to make a decision about a situation. I'm going to go back to am I going to buy this car or not? and I have a white car and I have a blue car, and I don't know which one because they both kind of are the same price and they both got something going on. So then I can take the blue car and I can imagine myself 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, 3 years from now, whatever the time frame is you want to do, and just feel how I feel driving that car in those different increments of time. Is the car paid off? Does it have a, or am I just putting a bunch of money into fixing the car? Do I feel happy in the car? Um, and then and then I can do the same thing with the white car and see how I'm feeling. I remember not that long ago, I had to pick between, I wanted to buy a CRV. I really thought that was going to be the car. I looked and looked and looked and I said, okay, this is the car. And then all of a sudden I found all these CRVs for sale, and some of them were better priced than others, and some of them were older. Until I got to this one CRV, it was white, it was sitting in the lot, and I know this is the one. And I couldn't tell you for the life of me why I was thinking this is the one, but it was the one. It wasn't the cheapest one, but it wasn't the worst one either. So I guess it was right in the middle, but I felt a sense of I could drive this car for a really long time. And so I bought it. And that was a number of years ago, and I'm still driving it and I still like it. So it was a good choice. At first, I didn't like the car at all when I was driving it. I wasn't happy in it at all. But now over the years, my intuition gave me the best answer possible. And I'm really happy with the decision that I made based on this is the right car kind of feeling. So tracking things through space and time. If you're starting to date someone, for instance, feel how you feel in the moment. I'm excited right now. This is really cool. And then a conversation happens and you're not quite sure about it. And then another conversation happens and it's fine. And then it's not fine. And you're like, I don't know what to do with this. So what you do is sit quietly and then ask yourself to view the relationship. How is the relationship going to go 3 weeks, 3 months from now? But also view, how am I going to feel about this relationship 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years from now? And let your body talk to you, let your emotional body talk to you, and let your mental body talk to you, and then weigh it all out. Sometimes I will actually put the decision to put some questions into an envelope and say, I'm going to stick with this person for 3 years. I'm going to stick with this person for 3 weeks and then break up with them. Or I'm, or whatever. And then mix up put them in identical envelopes, mix them up, and then pick one envelope up and say, how do I feel about what's in this envelope? And then you could write down your feelings. What color is in this envelope? What song does this envelope remind me of? And then write it all down, and then open the envelope and see what the question was, or what you were going to, what your plans were. And then you can, that's a great way of your subconscious or your higher conscious mind giving you hints and tips on what's really going to happen with this situation. And I love doing that with space and time in an abstract way, because it's interesting what information I can get. And even if I decide to go forward with that decision, I can look back at my notes and say, oh, this is what my intuition was telling me. Oh, this is what my subconscious was really saying. I get where this is, where this fits in now. And I think I understand what it is that I'm going to do about it. So, so giving you some ideas to play with to help encourage your intuition to move forward. Dreams. Let's talk a little bit about dreams. I started this with my friend having that really scary dream. And when we have dreams, they can be about us. Everything in the dream is an aspect of ourselves, and we can actually dialogue with those aspects of ourselves. I actually told my friend to go talk to the bomb and to go talk to the heat wave, and then go talk to his guides about what they had to say to him about him, or what he was getting from them. And was this about a change in his life or a challenge in his life, or was this something about something very specific? So if you have a dream, write down all the parts of the dream and talk to the actual parts. Talk to the one that impacts you the most first, and then talk to the one that you really know it was there, but you really didn't care about it. Talk to that one, because that's a very important part of yourself and your dream. That's the part you're not paying attention to that actually is trying to get your attention. So I feel that you can start to lay out your intuition from your dreams. Now, some dreams are predictive, And even those dreams need to be worked through. A predictive dream can be telling you about a pathway. Heads up, there's a pathway in front of you that you may not want to take, that you may not want to be part of. Or heads up, there's a pathway you're forgetting to go down. And all of those predictive dreams, as you work through them, talk to those pieces, get the information that you need from them, you'll know what the dream is trying to tell you, what it's being predictive of. Sometimes we get symbolic dreams that are very predictive. And write them down, give yourself a chance to sort it through. But if you write them down when you wake up, you'll remember them clearly when you're still working through them. So good idea is to write down those dreams as soon as you wake up, even if you have to turn a little light on and the person next to you is saying, "What's that dream?" But just write the dreams down. They'll give you a lot of really good information. I've had some amazingly predictive dreams that came in symbolically, and well, some of them are kind of personal. I can't really tell you. I'm trying to think of one that I could tell you, but I had a dream once that I had a little infant in my arms, but the infant was dead. And I went into the closet and I was crying because it was one of my grandchildren, and I was just crying and crying. I didn't have any grandchildren at the time. And somebody was pounding on the door. I said, "Nancy, you have to come out of the closet. Come out, Nancy. Come out of that closet. Come out of that closet." And I woke up. There was a little baby boy, and it was just so sad. And I was wondering what that meant. What can I do about this dream? I thought it was just a nightmare. But then the part of you have to come out of the closet just seemed really important for me to pay attention to. And that very same day, my daughter um, emailed me and said, "Mom, I am going to travel." This is when the Zika virus was real big. "I'm going to travel to Mexico where the Zika virus was really high." Um, and she said, "But we've been trying to get pregnant and I don't know if I should go or not." And I said to her, the whole thing come out of the closet hit me like a ton of bricks. And I said, "You are pregnant and you can't go because you will get infected if you go." And I don't like speaking like that. I don't like making predictions like that. But with the whole message of you have to come out of the closet was a very important message. So I trusted it. I believed it. And of course, she didn't believe me. And she should go to the doctors to get a test. So she did go to the doctors. The doctor made her wait until 2 days before the plane tickets, before she was going to go to Mexico. So she was absolutely sure if she was pregnant or not. And the pregnancy test came out positive, and she had to stay home. And I was very happy I came out of the closet on that one. But it took a while to work that dream and to really know what part of this dream was important. Um, so I'll give you that story so you could use it on your dreams. What are the dreams telling you? What are the important parts of the dreams? What do you need to take with you? What do you need to express? Um, bit about the tension that we're feeling with all of the weather changes and all of the political unrest, the wars going on, and the impact that it may have on us personally, and the impact it's having on us as family and friends are really stuck and struggling and suffering. And we can't control the world around us. We can't control other people's choices. I wish we could. And sometimes we can have an intuition hit about something that we have no control over, that we can't stop at all. But we can pray about it. We can prepare ourselves about it. And sometimes if we're given a dream or given an opportunity where we could prepare ourselves, then that's a gift. And what do you need to do to prepare yourself? So if you're feeling particularly anxious about a certain weather pattern, or you're feeling particularly anxious about a traveling a trip you want to take, use your intuition, work it like it's a dream. I have I'm buying this plane ticket. I'm anxious about it. I'm going to be in this area at this date. Work it the way, in the different ways that I've talked about, and see where is the anxiety coming from? What do I personally need to prepare for? What does this mean to me? And what do I want to do? What sparked the question within myself? Um, and your intuition will help guide you to know, I need to, I need to buy extra food. I need to start buying MREs. I need to put away a lot of fresh water in the next few weeks, and then a hurricane will hit at the end of those few weeks of putting away all that water. Or some, you see what you following what I'm saying? We don't always know what's going to happen, and I don't want to jump into fear. But if you're having a feeling or a sense of things that keeps repeating itself, pay attention and ask, well, what do I need to do to prepare for this event that I'm anxious about, but I'm not clear why I'm anxious about it. So I have to say that oftentimes we can see something happening and it's in the news and it's crazy in the news. And then later we want to check into it. And all of a sudden, all the news articles have disappeared because they don't want to. I don't know why news articles disappear. There was an outage over Facebook. Oh, I think it was early January, and they were talking about they were hacked and this and that. And then all of a sudden, all the articles have disappeared. You're going back going, well, here it is happening again in I just think just last week something was happening, and nobody could find the articles from the earlier month so they could put it together. And I have to say that sometimes I feel that happens in the news, where things are in the news, but then they go away. So we can't quite build the best information possible on what to do. And in those cases, we're not getting all the information we need. I think that's the thing that makes me the craziest, is not having all the information I need. There's so much information out there, information overload, but the things that you need to know isn't quite there. So you can use your intuition to not necessarily fill in the blanks, but to guide you into what is the best move forward here. I have this little bit here. I have this little bit here. I don't want to connect the dots. I don't have enough information to connect the dots. But what is my intuition telling me? That of my own personal positioning and being in the best place possible. Now, my friend who I started this whole podcast with needs to decide if his intuitive hit is talking to him about changing his travel plans, or to be prepared for some really big psychological things or some spiritual things coming forward that he needs to pay attention and prepare himself for a big shift in his life. He needs to do that work before he leaves, I would think, so that he's prepared for what is coming forward. What does he need to be prepared for? So what's important to you? What's leaning on you? What's causing you to be anxious are all really good things to work on, not to go down a rabbit hole and support your anxiety, but to see, is the anxiety coming from a personal fear? Is the anxiety coming from an intuitive hit that I'm not paying attention to? Or is the anxiety being influenced by half of the information, or by attitudes that people are leaning on me so that I am anxious, so they do buy that thing I'm going to buy or whatever? So is it yours? Is it not yours? Is it your intuition? Where is it coming from? And what does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does my body feel like? You can use your body like a pendulum. If you stand with your feet kind of shoulder width apart, and you ask yourself that question of what's bugging you, and is this something I should be worried about? And just, if your body moves forward, that's a yes in my body. And if your body moves backwards, that's a no. So actually, you could start by standing up tall with your feet, hands down by your side, and your feet shoulder width apart, and ask your body, show me when it's a no, and let your body move. And then ask your body, show me when it's a yes, and let your body move. And now you have the yes and no from the wisdom of your body wisdom. And you can play with, pick up a box of cookies and say, will it be good for me to eat all these cookies? And see what your body says. You might think it's going to be fine, but your body might say, I don't think so. Or or do you like these shoes? You try on a new pair of shoes and stand up with their new pair of shoes and just see where your body goes. I buy shoes all the time, love them, they're great. And then I come home and I'm wearing them and I'm like, oh my God, they're killing me. But my body knew before I even bought them. So body wisdom is very important and very useful. You could have a diagnosis from a doctor or a certain medication. Now, I'm not saying, I'm going to be careful what they say about this, where your body can tell you that I'm going to have a reaction to this, or I'm going to feel good about this, or this is really helping me a lot. Thank you very much. You can use it, but I don't want you to, and then you need to talk to your doctor and say, I think I'm having a reaction to this or something like that. So let your body talk to you about when you're not feeling good. And when you need to make decisions, am I going to like this color? I'm going to paint this room orange. Is my body going to like it? And the body will say yes or no. Your body may say the orange is too much. No. Or the body may say, I love orange and orange is, I need that color right now. Yes. Or the body may say, maybe a little orange, but not all of it. So it's fun to talk to your body, your sense of self. There's this kinesiology where you can use muscle testing to see your body's intuition. One can talk to you through muscle testing, which is another source of another source of intuition. So again, you can reach out to me and we can work on this. You want to understand what your soul is trying to tell you. We can work that through in a session. You could reach me through angelscapes.net and set up a session with me and work things through. So you can reach me at nancy@angelscapes.net or angelscapes.net. You can contact me through my website, or you can text me at 978-835-0005, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In any event, don't be overwhelmed on the drama of all the drama in the world. If all this drama is going around and you're saying we're going to hell in a handbasket, let that go for a minute and just say, what is overwhelming me? Get to the root cause of it. And are you being triggered by something old? Are you taking on something that's not yours? Or is your intuition trying to rise to the top and say, can you pay attention to this? And sometimes our intuition has to come through disguised as an emotion, because we're not going to pay attention to it. But our emotions don't usually tell us the truth. Our emotions are just something we need to get the message from the emotions, what it's trying to tell us, and then move to your calm voice of your intuition and say, what do I do with this information? And that's the nice, good formula that would help you. So I hope that this has been helpful, this talk. And if you'd like to hear more talks on intuition, just send me a note and say where you'd practically like me to go with the intuition and with your inner, inner voice. I like to talk about the 5 languages of your soul, and intuition is one of the languages of your soul, and your soul has a lot more ways that it can talk to you. So maybe we could go deeper into that in one of these podcasts. So I want to thank you for listening to this episode. And I want to thank all my peeps that listen to it live, and stay well, use your intuition, be patient with yourself. We are in changing times, and your intuition will help you live well. So stay in grace, stay in peace, stay safe, love yourself, and peace out.
Thank you for joining the Angelscapes podcast. We hope you've gained new insights and inspiration for your journey to uncover and access your soul's power. For more information and a deeper dive into finding clarity in your life, go to angelscapes.com. Remember to subscribe so you can be part of the discussion. It may just change your life. See you next time.